Johannesburg is a vast expanse of highways and shopping malls built over the hollowed-out earth of a gold mining town for the last 130 years. It's the biggest city in South Africa and one of the biggest in Africa. It's also the largest man-made forest in the world. The density of trees actually affects the rainfall levels in the region. An interesting point to take note of in these times of climate change. It's an electric city, constantly charged by thunderstorms. But what really makes Johannesburg run isn't money or business or the mining industry, it's people. In this harsh city, the people are real, warm-hearted and hospitable. I want to introduce you to some of my favorite people living in the city. I want to show you the legends, the independents, the mavericks, the people who did things their way, and they did it successfully. As a result, they've become institutions. These people paved the way for the rest of us. Have some respect. Welcome to my world. It's food, it's booze, it's tattoos. Join me as I go on an epic road trip across South Africa. We're gonna eat, we're gonna drink, and we're gonna get tattooed.
Hi, I'm Andrea. I'm the chef at the Leopard Restaurant in Melville. We've been running this restaurant for about 3 years. Before that, we had other restaurants from about 15 years back, and we are, for good, for bad, addicted to it.
What's your story with food, Andrea?
I've always been keen on cooking, but I didn't train as a chef. I actually did a fine art training, and then I started moonlighting at friends' restaurants. I worked for a good friend of mine, Bram Kruger, who's no longer alive. It was a mad place to work, but it was such fun. That was really good training for me because he also didn't have formal training. It was all damage control and make a plan. It's really making it up as you go along, which is a good way to learn in a South African restaurant because there's no set of rules in a way and there's a language thing. Even the way that most of the staff in our restaurants come up through the ranks. One guy who works with us now as a head chef, he was our car guard when we had Super Bonbon. And now, 16 years later, he's a head chef. My other head chef, Leah, she also came to us when she was very young and she started working in the scullery. And she was just too amazing. She just got the sort of palate that makes you believe in gifts from God. You know, she's completely incredible. And I mean, I definitely wouldn't be able to have a restaurant without her.
You've gone from being, a young whippersnapper being taught by, of the best.
Or perhaps of the maddest.
Of the maddest.
Yeah. And the best.
And now that you're guiding people in the same way.
It's not so much a sense of achievement, it's more a sense of happiness when you see somebody really being so good at what they do and being in the right place for them.
What are we doing, boss?
Okay, so we are doing our steak tartare, which we're not making in the traditional French way. At the moment, the way we serve it is almost Ethiopian. What you're going to do is you're going to take all the white out, and then all the rest of the meat you're going to cut into tiny little pieces.
Yes, chef.
I've become increasingly aware of the issues around production. Only when you get food in huge quantity do you really start thinking about the story behind that. How did that get to you? This huge box of 48 little quail bodies. You look at it and you start thinking, I need to find out more. Am I cool with this? Is it okay? I don't want to be part of something that's just terrible and cruel. And you know what else I love about serving tartare? The fact is that even though we're using grass-fed beef is just quite hectic carbon emissions-wise. So with tartare, you're not needing to eat that much of it. It's really rich when you eat it raw. It's also really good for you to be eating it raw rather than cooked. The way that something is grown makes much more of a difference to the carbon footprint than where it comes from. So if, for example, you were to get green beans from Kenya and they'd been farmed without those kind of fertilizers and pesticides, that probably would have a far lower carbon footprint than beans from literally around the corner. I think the thing is that there's so much information coming at us about food that we tend to latch onto something that seems easy to do. But in a situation where you're choosing between the production method and where it's from, the production method does win out. Yeah. What we're going to do now is mussels in a sauce which is made of white wine, cream, chili, and ginger. It's fantastic. The other cool thing about mussels is that they're a really green seafood option. They actually clean the water as they farm. So they are the greenest farmed food. They smell like Cape Town, eh?
It smells like holiday. It smells like home and Christmas. And
it does smell like holiday. The style of the food that I've made and the dishes that I choose to make have really stayed very much the same. Of course, new dishes come in and other ones get thrown out. Anything really. I don't have rules about what I put on the menu or don't. I think that my menu veers quite radically around the globe in the way that a lot of chefs nowadays do, because we're getting information from so many places all the time. I do quite casual food. I think it's more mongrel food in a way. It's a bit of everything thrown together. That makes it sound so awful, but you know what I mean. Fusion sounds too posh for the sort of food that I do. I like big flavors. I almost want every meal to be something that's like somebody's hit me across the face. Do you think that looks delicious?
The meat looks particularly good.
Yeah, the meat. Oh my goodness. I don't know who chopped that, but that is perfect.
Let's eat it. I really enjoyed meeting Andrea. She's so informed, passionate, and compassionate about food. It feels good to prepare and to eat food that is ethically sourced. But what's more, when I come to this restaurant, I'm in the company of artists. I think it tastes extra good because, I made it. I could use some whiskey. Tell me, what's going on?
Today we're going to make an honest love affair. It's a classic combination of sweet and sour. Put ice in the shaker first and pour all your ingredients over the ice. That just helps everything cool down on the way. I'm going to use a little bit of gin here. It doesn't have to be anything special because the rest of the ingredients are quite robust. I'm going to take the juice of a whole lemon. I need arms like yours for this job.
I don't actually have any muscles, Nick. It's tattoos.
Is it all just tattoos? It's just drawn on?
Yeah.
And then to balance that, I've got a tot of sugar syrup, which we already made. Some basil for some aromatics. All right, so I've got a little sprig of rosemary in here, and I'm going to take a little bit of absinthe with 68% volume, so it's got a lot of alcohol in it. Absinthe is generally an aniseed or licorice flavor, but I'm doing it to flame so that I can release all the oils inside the rosemary. That's really what I'm going for here. And if the restaurant is busy and anyone's paying attention, I can do this.
Ah, yeah. Looks good, huh? You look like you know what you're doing if there's flames involved.
The last time I did something with flames, threw flaming sambuca in my mother's hair. I feel like if I'm messing, it's a better drink.
I think that's true.
Yeah. And there you go, honest love affair.
I need that so badly, man. Thank you.
You better drink as much as you can before these guys get older.
It's difficult to introduce someone like Pepe Demevski. He's an enigma, a legend. The stories about him are plentiful and fantastic, and most likely, fantasy. He's an absolute badass looking guy, a 6'6" Macedonian covered in ink. That's who you want to tattoo you.
My name is Pepe Demevski, I'm coming from Macedonia, and this is SE Hardcore Tattoos.
I got a tattoo from you 5 years ago. It was some crappy, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. The design was my own fault, But I remember walking in and you saying, "Who are you?" I'm like, "I'm Brett. I'm your 10 o'clock appointment." He's like, "You sure?" Yes, I'm sure. And I was scared of you, man. Because you were like 20 kilograms heavier, man. You were like a monster back then, bro. Now you're like light and skinny. And so you said, what you getting? And I was like so worried, man, because it was only my second tattoo and I was thinking, oh, the artist doesn't even know what he's gonna give me. And then I showed you the work that I was gonna do and it was like by some apprentice of yours. And you looked at it and went, this is shit. I changed it. And then you just like whacked out a few other ones and then put that on me in 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's cool.
So Pepe, how long have you been in South Africa for, man?
10, almost 11 years. Coming from a town called Kumanoa. The area where I grew up was kind of hard living, tough neighborhood. There was quite a few people back then in jail, which actually I learned to tattoo from those people. You know, I was getting tattooed by those people. It's like, you know, someone will come out of jail and it's like, hey, I know to tattoo. It's like, great, let's get tattooed. 13 years old, I got my first tattoo.
Who's tattooing a 13-year-old Pepe?
Myself.
Yourself?
Of course. Always wanted to be a tattoo artist. That's how I started. I was like 15. I mean, by then I had quite a few done on myself. And then when I was 17 years old, I went to the capital town. It's called Skopje. There was a decent tattoo shop with a decent artist where I learned from, and I started tattooing there. I think the very important part in my tattooing career was a very good friend of mine, Goran. He was the big man in Macedonia. He did a lot for the whole country. And he asked me like, why I don't start tattooing, you know. And when I told him like, you know, the money was difficult back then, maybe a few months after that, he bought the whole shop for me. He was that kind of big influence in my life, yeah.
So he still watches over you there, man?
Yeah. Tattoo can have a meaning, of course, but tattoo don't necessarily have to, like every single tattoo has a meaning. It's an art, it's a piece of art. I think they just look cool. Check, they're just cool.
Look at them, damn it, they're amazing.
Well, when I opened the shop first time, my idea was, you know, to change the look of the shop. As back in the days, you know, the shops were like, you know, white walls, white tiles, and that was it. So I wanted to change that in a way of, you know, changing the style, look of the shop. Kind of my idea was something to remind me to my home. I'm coming from very like orthodox country. I grew up with a lot of icons and crosses. That's me playing drums when I used to play drums before I hurt my wrists.
Seems like a dangerous instrument to play as a tattoo artist.
Being a drummer and boxing a lot, it doesn't go well together.
Who are you boxing?
Walls, cars, windows.
Blood on my shoes, blood on my shoes, blood on my hands now. Blood on the roof, blood on the sink, blood on my puke now.
I'm on my way to Hell's Kitchen, run by a couple of cool guys who've managed to set the tone for bars in Johannesburg. Hell's Kitchen is in Melville, my favorite part of the city. People here like each other. It's a great place to be. But first, my buddy Boyden the barber works next door. His barbershop is essentially in the bar. Barber. Get it? What do you think, man?
No, what do you feel for? Same as usual? Same, but different. Slightly different? No.
Do what you want to do, man.
Always.
I don't care. So Boyden, you are a hairdresser in a bar.
That's correct. Well, next to a bar. See, in a bar would be a problem. Because my clients would suffer because I'd never stop drinking.
What has Hell's Kitchen done to this area, to Melville?
What it's done for me, it's brought the right crowd here. The people that I love cutting. Good people, nice people. When I was a student, a hair student, because I was part of the punk scene, you know, cutting stage with Fuzzy Gish and all that kind of stuff.
You're cutting on stage?
Yeah, I cut on stage with Fuzzy Gish. Still I cut on stage with Fuzzy Gish.
Like while the band's playing?
Yeah. Then we just grab people out the audience. And we do like mohawks, undercuts and random stuff. It's kind of difficult, you know, when the guy's like had like 30 beers and he's head banging. But to the point of the college, I nearly got kicked out of hairdressing college because all I wanted to do was mohawks. And then my lecturer said to me, Boyden, if if you do one more mohawk, I'm going to fail you. And David Beckham came out with his mohawk like a week later, and we had 75 mohawks walk into the salon that week.
That week?
That week, my lecturer turned to me and she said, Boyden, out of everybody, I owe you an apology, and you will be the only person that gets a mohawk on a granny.
Mohawk on a granny?
Yeah, plenty. It's all about just having fun with hair, you know? Because life's too short to have boring hair. And you, what's cooking?
I visited my grandparents' graves this holiday. I'm not kind of that sentimental that way, but I felt really moved by the whole situation. Is your grand still around?
No, unfortunately, she passed away a month before my wedding.
What?
Yeah, the one person I would have wanted there, and she wasn't. She had a hard life, you know, tough life, addictive gambling, lost everything, you know. That's why I've got all the cards and the flames and stuff, because it's the pits of hell.
Wow.
For me, yeah. I'm an ex-casino kid, so I grew up sitting at the sides of casinos, having to lie to my mom because my aunt and them had a tour company that used to take the pensioners off to the casinos. Dude, I've seen it all.
Oh, strong, eh?
Happy with that?
Yeah.
Liking that vibes. Looks good.
I feel badass, man. Even if I'm not badass, I feel badass. Sick.
Yeah.
Dude.
High five. Thank you.
Tell us the story. You know which story.
What? The story of
Tell me
Jono.
the story.
Okay, so Jono, a mate of ours who works at Pepe's shop at Hardcore Tattoos in Parkhurst. So I was doing the tattoo like this, sitting over on the table, not being able to see. And at the end, he kind of cleaned it up, did a little thing. He's like, cool, bro, we're done. Go have a look in the mirror. And he left one open and just wrote the word.
Let me see.
You can still see it?
You can still see it.
It'll
eh?
always be there because you use the outline here on your arm.
I was interested in the name.
So the name is more specifically to do with Hell's Kitchen, the district in New York, where all the Irish immigrants were basically pushed to and they had their own bars, and it was like a very, very rough section of New York.
I had the great privilege of having your Hellfire drink behind the bar. Super power cinnamon. Amazing. What's the story behind that?
Went for something nostalgic, I suppose, something people know and like.
It reminds me of those sweets if you haven't had.
Yes, that's exactly it. It's fireballs.
Showing our age, eh?
Yeah. Trying not to. That's fine. You open it wrong to avoid growing up.
Because it's your drink, right?
It
It's
is our
dedicated
drink.
to...
Yeah. Can't have a rock bar and have house wine or house
yeah.
beer, or it's a little bit run-of-the-mill, so we went for something a little more exciting.
So how did you come about making Hellfire?
You know, it's a thing that happened through a mutual friend, I believe. Mike Feesey, I know for a long time, and we're friends. He came to me and said, well, Ernst, is it possible for you to make a cinnamon whiskey like they do in the States? Then we made up a little sample in the lab, and I gave it to him, and he said, yes, they liked it. That's how Hellfire came about.
There's something also that I noticed when drinking it is often when you're drinking cinnamon-flavored beverages that they're extremely sweet and aggressive, and yours doesn't seem to have that.
It's because we don't use synthetic flavorants, and you get that soft aroma, not that sharpness.
Have you been to Hell's Kitchen yet?
Not yet, but I believe there's a nice swimming pool so that we can cool off after having this.
There's a swimming pool. I haven't heard about the swimming pool. There's swimming pools in Hell. That's excellent.
Yeah.
It'll be better there now. Coming here and having Boyden next door and possibly Marissa coming in, is this like this commune of artists, and because Boyden's an artist, you know,
Yeah.
like, he does art with hair. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see, but that's
No, it does a
very
great
good
job.
haircut. You know,
Yeah,
it's
no. Boyden's
Thank
a big
you.
part of us coming here. We made sure he got the space. Kind of like-minded people, you know, and the same with Marissa.
Doing any live stuff over here?
Unofficially, perhaps.
Officially, no. We're going to do it, and the idea is that, Izzo's played there last night, as opposed to selling tickets and for...
It's easier to apologize and get permission.
Yeah, and also if we don't advertise, we get into less
We want to have a full bar, which is what we have, and then at 12 o'clock you turn the music down, and then just in the corner somebody's jamming. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
kind of a bit more subtle, and that's also a way of kind of getting around things, which we shouldn't be talking about because we're never going to do that.
No, it's never going to happen. And what about the music?
It's rock bar, dude. All rock all the time.
Yeah.
And it's the greatest thing in the world is to come in on like a quiet Tuesday, serve some of the food that I want to serve. You can put on like a Black Keys discography and listen to Black Keys for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes up and says, dude, can you maybe play it? No. We kind of sat down and said, are we going to chase the money or are we going to do something we want to do?
And if people don't like it, then so that was this, and it's really being well received.
In this episode, we've been hanging out with the legends, the institutions, the people who've set the benchmark for achievement in Johannesburg, the people who've thrown away the rule book and said, forget it, we want to do it our way, we want to cut hair crazy, we want to make beautiful food. We have a new bar from the guys who've been giving us great bars for the last 10 years. We spoke to Pepe, whose reputation is preceded only by his beautiful tattoo work. Johannesburg, not as bleak as you thought. Next week on Food, Booze and Tattoos, we show the ladies the respect they deserve.